Welcome to Exploring Consciousness, the place where we challenge what you think you know, where we create gateways to inner transformation and connect you to the most daring explorers of mind, consciousness, and ancient wisdom. In today's electrifying episode, we journey deep into the heart of Europe, into a place that may rewrite the human history. My name is alinaredenciuc, and our guest is none other than Dr. Semir Osmanagić. We have here an author of 21 books in ancient civilization, a researcher, a visionary, and the man who uncovered what may be the oldest and largest pyramids on Earth. Welcome, Dr. Sem.
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful introduction, and you are quite right. Tonight, we are going to talk about the true history of the mankind.
So, what did you feel in your soul the first time you stepped on what you call the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun?
You know, I have been researching pyramids and megalithic sites for more than 40 years. And I have concluded that almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. Pyramids, they teach us that they were built only in Egypt and Mexico. But it's wrong. They are built on all 6 continents. Egyptian pyramids, they program us in schools that they are tombs for the pharaohs. And then 20 years ago, everything changed. I came for the first time to the Bosnian town of Visoko, near the capital city of Sarajevo, to visit the local museum. But then I saw this, everybody called it natural hill, because it is covered by soil, vegetation, forest. But I could see the form, geometry, 4 sides, 4 triangular faces, 4 corners, same slope from bottom to the top. I took compass, it showed me that those 4 sides perfectly match the cardinal points, east, west, north, south. And that's how the pyramids were made. I knew that from my experience from China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras. I climbed the top of that, everybody called it hill. And then I immediately knew that under the layers of soil, there is a huge ancient structure. I knew it was much bigger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt and much older. So to answer your question, what did I feel? I felt enormous excitement. And then even though at that time I lived in Houston, Texas, US, I decided to pursue the project. And we started it back in 2005, and by now it has become the most active archaeological site in the world.
This is amazing, an amazing discovery. What are the most undeniable signs that prove that these are man-made pyramids? You have mentioned that it is perfectly aligned and it has 4 sides which are perfectly equal. What other characteristics have you found?
Now, this project has become an interdisciplinary scientific project where we have classical sciences like archaeology, geology, Egyptology, biology, paleontology, but also high-tech, georadar, satellite, geothermal analysis. Also, 3 different forms of dating, radiocarbon dating, luminescence analysis, and uranium-thorium analysis, and many experts in energy phenomena, engineers, physicists, but also medical doctors. This is our conclusion. We have a complex of at least 6 pyramids. Pyramids of the sun, moon, dragon, earth, love, the 6th pyramid. We have 2 tumuli. Tumulus in archaeology is artificially made conical hill. And below the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids, we have huge network of underground tunnels. We have discovered 7 entrances to those prehistorical tunnels, which we named Ravne, Ravne 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and KTK. Archaeologically speaking, this is huge discovery. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, with its height of 368 meters, is much taller than Great Pyramid of Egypt, with 146 meters. Orientation to the north. Egyptian pyramids, 0 degrees and 3 minutes. Error. Bosnian, 0 degrees, 0 minutes, 12 seconds. The more precise. 1 meter below the soil, we've been discovering blocks, rectangular, square. We have analyzed them at 7 institutes for materials in Italy, France, Czech, Slovakia, Bosnia. They all told us it was an artificially made concrete blocks, much better quality than what we can make today. But this is not all. This is just archaeology. We revolutionarily changed the narrative about the pyramids. In Bosnia, they were not built for one dead body, king or pharaoh, but they were built for the living communities. How do we know that? On the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 5 teams from 5 different countries, Italy, Germany, Croatia, Serbia, Finland, came at 5 different times, physicists and engineers, and they measured existence of energy being going through the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 28 kilohertz frequency in electrical field and in ultrasound. And this beam is getting stronger as it moves away from the pyramid. In science, this phenomenon is called scalar waves or Tesla's energies, and they travel quicker than the speed of light. So our first conclusion about the purpose of pyramids is that they were ancient communication devices. And there is more. People who went in the tunnel.
Sorry, how
Now,
old are these
we have
structures?
done 28 radiocarbon dating. Especially important is the organic material that we discovered between the concrete block, first and second layer. We discovered fossilized leaves. If you have organic material, you can date them. The age, 29,200 years, plus minus 400 years. So we go back for 30,000 years, and we change everything. Egyptian pyramids, they are saying 4,500. However, they are probably much older, built by more advanced civilization than some slaves or the pharaohs. So now we make change in human history. The age builders were very advanced because they could manipulate with millions of tons of material. They knew how to create very specific frequencies which are beneficial. I mentioned communication. I came to talk about the tunnels. People who went to the tunnels, they can breathe. Excellent. You know, if you go to the coal mine, after 20, 30 meters, no oxygen, you can breathe. But in Bosnian tunnels, deeper you go, you breathe better and better. Not very logical, but nothing in Bosnia is logical. People with the respiratory problems, asthma, bronchitis, and they go for a week in the tunnels, they don't need air pump, inhaler no more. People with a high blood pressure, it gets normalized. High sugar, glucose in the blood, it drops few points. Our second conclusion about the pyramid energy, it was used to protect what is the most precious to us? Our health. And if I am to continue, you just showed me a bottle of water that you purchased at the entrance of the tunnels, and we started bottling the water that we discovered in pyramids. Why? Because this water, number one, is perfectly clean. No viruses, no bacteria, no microbes at all. It vibrates high. This water has beautiful hexagonal structure with a crystal-like structure, and this water is so-called structured water. And we are what we drink. The pyramid water comparing to our city water, which is energetically dead, is so much superior. Our next third conclusion, pyramid energy was used to affect the most important liquid in our life, the water, improves molecular structure. And if I continue, it improves food, it improves immunity, it improves our spiritual senses. Conclusion, after 20 years, we have changed what people thought, and especially archaeologists and geologists, about the pyramids. They were not built for the past. They belong to the human future because they can make our life much better quality than what we have today.
I had the pleasure to visit the Ravne tunnels twice. I have visited last year and 2 years ago, and last year I was happily volunteering. I have noticed that you have large groups of volunteers that are coming from different countries, and they are really happy to help to remove all the areas which have been blocked. The entrances in certain areas of the tunnels has been blocked many years ago. Could you tell us something about this? Why do you think that these tunnels have been blocked?
In your questions, we have two aspects, volunteers and why they are blocked. Now, you are right. There are many volunteers internationally who come to help us with the project. From the very beginning, 20 years ago, the cultural establishment, archaeologists, geologists, historians, museums were against us. They didn't want us to dig and to prove we have huge archaeological complex. So I opened a project for the volunteers from all over the world. In the last 15 years, we have had 4,000 volunteers from 60 countries and 6 continents. Never such enthusiasm in the world of archaeology. So they've been working with us, clearing the tunnels, existing prehistorical tunnels, removing the soil from discovering the oldest concrete blocks, artificial organic materials. Now, I mentioned that we did 7 entrances to the tunnels. So far, we cleared 3.5 kilometers of the tunnels. But I suspect that originally there were 100 kilometers down tunnels. At 7 different we discovered entrances to 2 levels. So in front of us, we have noticed that all the tunnels have been filled with a filler material. So these 2 civilizations, first one who built this huge network under the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids, and second civilization who, for some reason, filled all the tunnels, filler materials, pebbles, rocks, and sand. And why? They didn't want us to get to the pyramid.
Mm-hmm. I also have been purchasing this amazing water, which is the pyramid water, and it is amazing the fact that we can, anyone can have this amazing water that is very, very pure. And I also noticed that it has been tested by Dr. Masaru Emoto, who was studying the structure of water, and it has a perfect hexagonal shape if watched under a telescope. So that is telling us that purity of water is very, very high. How about what you mentioned before about the purity of the air? I also have noticed there are tourists which are coming and entering the tunnels just to breathe the air in specific parts of the tunnels, especially where there seems to be a very high concentration of negative ions, which is a concentration in some areas which I could not find in another place on the planet. Is this correct?
You are absolutely right with both things. One is water, the other one is the ionized air. Why the water is so important? We are 90% water. They don't teach us in schools the importance of the water. And we are what we drink. If we drink the water that vibrates low, that damage structure, like our city water, like our bottle, let's give it the chlorine, fluoride, have traces of heavy metals and microplastic. This water is practically dead. But the water that's been exposed to the pyramid energy for thousands of years, it vibrates high, has beautiful hexagonal structure, a beautiful, most wonderful quartz crystal structure, and the famous late Dr. Masaru Emoto, when got frozen our with water through electronic microscope, proved that it has these structural elements. The second, the air, what we breathe, is so important to us. In the tunnels, we've been measuring for the last 20 years the highest concentration of beneficial negative ions. What are the negative ions? They are some extra electrons in atoms and molecules, and they clean the air from all the pollutant, from dust, from microbes, viruses, bacteria, fungi, from pollen. They are very good for the atmosphere and our body. They clean all the microbes from our body. More negative ions, better for our health. So people who has respiratory problems, but many other problems also, they come to the tunnels. It is like the healing therapy, and they feel much better. So when we think about the pyramids, you see how the builders are using major aspects of our life, water and the air and the negative ions, to keep the builders healthy and rejuvenated.
Mm-hmm. It was also very interesting to us, the volunteers. As volunteers, we were actually taking out stones, sand from the tunnels out, carrying wheelbarrows. And at the end of the working day, we were feeling so rejuvenated and so fresh, like we were not there to put any physical effort. It was like we have been coming back from a vacation, like in a place where we only rested and had the time of our life breathing the most fresh air. So I can also say that it's never happened to me to ever enter in such tunnel and and work and do physical work and come out fresh and rejuvenated.
It's okay. I can comment on
And
that. What you
besides
just said.
this, people can meditate. So visitors can meditate. You have created some meditation spaces inside the tunnels, and thousands of people have reported spiritual experiences during their meditative time inside the tunnels. So what is happening?
You have touched on very two important aspects. The first one is healing. The second one is spirituality. When it comes to healing, every year we have thousands of people who give us their healing testimonials. They feel much better. And we notice one thing. People who come open-minded, who wish best for themselves and other people. They have the best benefits. It seems like the pyramid energy amplifies what we carry inside. And the second, about the spirituality. You know, we live in the countries that 40, 50 years ago, they were communist countries, and they taught us that spirituality equals religions. Well, not really. Religions is one thing. Spirituality, for me, is development of spiritual senses so we can sense the world beyond the physical reality. One of the ways to realize about such a world, spiritual world, is meditation. People relax, they close their eyes, they go deep into their inner cosmos, and they discover that besides our physical body, we have our spiritual body, we have our soul, and soul has no limits, and that's exactly definition of freedom. No limits. So for me, spirituality is the way to discover who we really are and to discover that we are actually free and that we have no limits and that it means that in this life there is no need to fear anything. Unfortunately, we live in society based on fear. What we are saying, true spirituality is our way to free ourselves.
That is very powerful. Have your spiritual beliefs evolved in some way throughout this journey?
20 years ago, my main goal was to uncover the pyramid and to prove that this was a structure, a construction. But after first year, I realized pyramids are much, much more than that. So today, we are talking about the spirituality and the healing and different scientific aspects. And as you know, near the tunnels, we purchased 100,000 square meters of neglected, muddy, swampy land, which we transformed into the most beautiful park, which has become the cultural regional oasis, sports oasis, place of the spiritual peace. So if you ask me if I evolved, yes, very much so. And when I look back, we started as the archaeological project, opened up to science, energy aspect, spiritual, healing, cultural, festivals, what we eat, what we drink, different concept of future. Not the future that some EU officials are telling us, transhumanism, upgraded human with biochip under the skin, GMO trash, GMO food, or digital money. No, no, no. We are saying the future of humanity is in harmony among ourselves and harmony with the nature.
You are a very inspiring explorer, and if there would be a certain moment that touched you during your journey, a certain moment that changed something inside you, ignited something, a breakthrough moment, what was it?
You know, researching the ancient civilizations on all six continents, especially pyramids. Remember one time I was in Western Honduras, in the Mayan city of Copan. And I'm sitting there on the big stone stadium, and I'm asking myself, what am I doing here? Well, I was doing my PhD, so I was traveling through all the Mayan cities, through the forest, through open, archaeological sites, to closed archaeological sites, through the jungles, and so on. So what am I doing here? And then I heard my inner voice saying, You are doing the same thing like more than 1,000 years ago. Wow. I said, what was I doing then? And the answer was, you were writing the chronicles about the Mayan civilizations and Mayan cities. And I was doing the same thing at that time, 25 years ago. So I realized that there is much more than the physical reality, archaeology, and just physical science. There is something that we can call something beyond the physical world, spirituality. You have to combine the two, spirituality and the physical aspect. And then, as I was getting older, something has really changed. You know, when I wrote my first book, long, long time ago, decades ago, I wanted to change the world. I said, this is wrong, we need to do this, we need to do that. So I published the book. I thought everybody's going to read it, everybody's going to change themselves. It never happened. Nobody listened. So with the time, I realized we have to do only one thing. We have to change ourselves. So as I was evolving and changing myself, as I was becoming more pure and more modest, and I realized that I know almost nothing about the pyramids, civilizations, builders, purpose. Once you open yourself, once you start changing, people notice that. Once you start respecting everyone for what they are, then it affects other people also. So, when you ask me what happened, well, this is the change that has been lasting for decades, but also with some important moments. You become humble, and when talking about spirituality, you know, there are Indian gurus. They go to the caves, they spend 10 years, they see nobody, they meditate, and they can find, of course, very important truth in their life. But 5 or 8 billion people cannot go in the caves. We cannot go in the caves, right? But what we can do, for me, very high form of spirituality is to serve other people. What are you doing in Bosnia? You are volunteering. You are serving in other country, in other people, investigating, discovering. So you are doing good deeds. When I go to the park, every day I have my gloves, so I pick up the trash. A lot of kids, a lot of schools, a lot of adults. I pick up the trash, and I don't think anything bad about those, who, got trash in the park. On the contrary, I try to make park look beautiful. And when something is clean and organized, people like that. So you're doing something so they can enjoy. When you share, when you give knowledge, when you give information for free, there's very high level of spirituality. So for me, spirituality is serving others, sharing, respecting, giving.
Do you think the world is going through an awakening time right now? Are we living through a period where things happen to accelerate in a good way, like people have started searching for their own purpose and started being more curious about who they are, where they came from? Do you feel an acceleration in this period?
You know, I'm old enough to remember different time periods. Before the year 2000, people were thinking, oh, the world's going to collapse. Even before that, during the Cold War, we were at the brink of the nuclear war and chemical and biological weaponry. And then 2012, people were saying, oh, we're going to, ascend from the third to the fifth dimensions. And then, during the 2020, 2022 Corona project, people realized that the fear is the main engine in this society. Before 2020, we thought that maybe 50% of the people were awakened already. However, Corona showed us that 90% of the people still live in fear. So for me, when majority of the people start following those monsters who call themselves elegantly elites, corporate elites, bank elites, political elites, religious, and so on. Once they realize that they are free and they need to talk and communicate to other free people, then we can say that something has really changed. Right now, it is very small minority of the people who are really spiritual. Not only those who talk about spirituality, but those who live in a balance of physical and spiritual dimension. Once we have majority of people who live that way, then we can say that yes, the world is going to the right direction. Once most of us realize that what they do to us with the GMO food, with the poisoned water, with the poisoned media, TVs and so on, instilling the fear in our lives, wars and crimes and killings and fires and hunger and so on. So once we realize that the world will not be changed by those elites who've been controlling us for 5,000 years, it can be changed only with our action. Once we become free, we don't care what those monsters are doing. And imagine 100,000 of us free, 5 billion of us free, then we change everything. Then the politics and politicians should become what they are supposed to be. Service to us, normal, good, intentional people.
What do you think would happen if many people, like people from all over the world, would gather under a common purpose, a common amazing purpose, just to discover who we truly are?
Once we realize what our true history is, it's not only one cycle that we live now. They're saying before we were primitive, now we are the most intelligent. No, no. History of humanity in just last 100,000 years is cycle after cycle after cycle. People during those cycles were reaching unbelievable heights. They were very spiritual. They were able to build pyramids in China, in Bosnia, in Egypt, in Peru, Bolivia, in Mesoamerica, megalithic sites from Stonehenge, Eibury Hill, Karnak in France, Alestenar in Sweden, Ruj Melchiri in Israel. They were able to manipulate the energy to their own benefits. So once people realize that in the past we had intelligent beings, so powerful and so advanced, then it should change a lot in us. And this is what elites don't want us to know. And that's what I realized why the history is so important. With the history, we change our present times. We become more balanced with the nature. You know, you can see the history from the last 2,000 years, ancient Roman, medieval Western European countries, Portugal, Spain, Holland, France, and United Kingdom, going around the world, killing other people, millions and millions of original people of land in America and Australia, in New Zealand. And then, exploitation of all the minerals and the planetary resources without any measure, because they think they are conqueror and they are ruler of the world. Well, that's wrong. This planet is our mother. She gives us life. If she decides to get rid of us, she's going to do it, like 12,000 years ago, with the biblical flood and earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, and that cannot be stopped. So we better learn how to respect our mother and how to live in harmony with our planet and all four kingdoms: mineral kingdoms, plant kingdoms, animal kingdoms, and human kingdom.
During the time that you have been doing all this amazing research, you have encountered many so-called barriers. So people would say, oh, the pyramids are controversial, are they real, or are they hills, or is any of this true? Your enthusiasm is amazing, so it is on very high levels all the time. What keeps you fueled? What keeps you fighting, in discovering more, offering more information, writing all these amazing books and sharing the information? What drives you in this direction?
Every one of us has a mission in life. It's very important that we learn about the mission. We cannot do that with our five physical senses. We need to use our inner spirituality. And once we realize what we have to do, then we need to stay on course. It doesn't matter obstacles or attacks. And you said rightfully, many people were attacking us. Not only say controversial, but insulting. They were trying to stop the war. They were putting a lot of pressure on many people around me and the government to stop this. But then, when you think about the project, so from the beginning I claimed, okay, my hypothesis, those hills are actually artificial structures followed by the tunnels. Why would all the Bosnian archaeologists, geologists be against me? Croatian, Serbian, Hungarian, Polish, French, German, British, American, Egyptian. Why would they care about some remote hills in some small country of Bosnia and try to stop that investigation? Obviously, something was big over there, something so history changing. And as we were starting, more obstacles were coming. No permissions, no money, they don't let you do that, pressure from media. But we kept moving on and on. 99% of normal people, when they come to the wall and they hit the wall with their head, they give up. And especially if everybody is against them. This is the easy way. If you want to show that you are worthy of such a big discovery, and the bigger the discovery, bigger the obstacles and resistance. So, once you want to show it, then you find a way to continue. Instead of hitting with your head to the wall, you need to act as the water. Water comes to the wall and then go left and right, looking for little holes, and then water goes to the walls. So that's exactly what we have been doing. My motivation, this project is so important globally in different aspects.
How did you think of finding the right way to bring more awareness about your discoveries and to bring this more to the attention of other researchers, archaeologists? I have noticed in my visit at the Ravne tunnels, I have seen some big boards with certain pictures of certain researchers that have been there and joined forces. And it has been a very powerful, it's been a very powerful for me moment to see that so many people want to join forces and to actually send requests in changing the Egyptology, or at least to study more, to bring more of truth of what pyramids are, what they are built for, and are the pyramids going to be changing something in the future of humanity if we are putting more attention and energy into researching them?
Yes. Okay, several questions. Archaeology, promotion, and other researchers. About the archaeology, I realize that archaeologists and historians are the most conservative scientists ever. You know, when I was younger, decades ago, no internet, we had to read books. I was reading 100 books from different fields every year after year. You know, physiology, psychology, philosophy, religions, history, and so on. The history was most interesting for me because I could see that something was missing. And when I started traveling, Peru, Bolivia, other sites, I realized that almost everything they were teaching us was wrong. That's why I decided history and archaeology is the place where I need to put all my efforts. We started the project in Bosnia. We were proving that we were right. And how to promote that? You know, from early times, we realized that there is a lot of politics in big media. Associated Press, Reuters, writing against us. National Geographic, making documentaries against us. Wikipedia, against us. You cannot change entries in Wikipedia about Bosnian pyramids, no matter how scientific proofs, because they block that. We cannot change them. So what do? We started promoting all over the world my presentations in more than 60 countries, TVs, interviews, social network. People are coming. They are excellent because they tell what they see. You know, when volunteers are supposed to come to us, people from France or Germany or Jordan or Korea, oh, don't go to Bosnia, it's a war country, or there are no pyramids. Wikipedia is saying, well, let me see for myself. People go there, say, hey, these tunnels are real. Energy is real. Measurements are real. This pyramid has the shape of the pyramid. They see for themselves. It becomes very powerful. And then many independent researchers started coming to us. Dr. J.J. Hurtak, 2 PhDs in archaeology, research Egyptian pyramids. He said Egyptology needs to change the definition of the pyramids because of the discovery of Bosnian pyramids. Legendary professor Konstantin Korotkov, geophysicist from University of St. Petersburg, he said after measurement, the Bosnian pyramids are energetically most powerful comparing to Egyptian or Mexican. This discovery is like the discovery of the Mayan pyramids. The famous astrophysicist, Dr. Paula Violette from the US, after 6 visits and measurements and dating, he said, this is the most important discovery in archaeology. So many other came. And it doesn't matter if they are scientists or students or ordinary people or volunteers or housewives, they come, they see, they talk. We don't tell them what they have to accept. They see for themselves. So let them feel that and then read if they are interested. And they can, purchase the books. They can read all my books on internet and for free also. So they have enough information. And then they can filter. And they said, this is right or this is wrong. So this is a remarkable journey, unique journey. Nobody ever traveled in such a hard way, but since we are following the truth, we are following our dreams. We know that we are right.
Pyramids could speak one truth. What do you think that would,
Well,
what message would they send?
You are right about that. Genius Nikola Tesla said everything is energy, everything is vibrations. Pyramids are ancient energies, very powerful. We, humans, we are also energies. We vibrate. Energies recognize each other. Energies communicate. Every time I'm driving on the highway and I see the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun from far, I have such a pleasant feeling inside my body on consciousness level. And on subconscious, we probably communicate. We had thousands of volunteers from different countries, different educational background. I asked them, why did you come from Peru or from Germany or from Mexico to volunteer here in Little Bosnia? The answer is always the same. They say, when I first time hear about Bosnian pyramids, I knew I had to go there. So it was like personal calling. So when we talk about the communication, it's not only through the words like you and I right now, but there is some communication on very subtle levels.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Sam. You have journeyed us through ancient tunnels, pyramids. We understood that some things can defy the logic as we know it, and we heard truths that challenge the very fabric of our history. So, the way it looks, this is just the beginning. And to our listeners, if this amazing podcast of today has stirred anything inside you, then we are waiting for you to discover more of this ancient wisdom and discovery of pyramids in October at our conferences at Aro Palace Hotel, 3rd to 5th of October in Brașov.
I'm very excited to be coming to Romania this October, the first weekend, October 3rd, October 5th, to Brașov, to Aro Palace Hotel for the conference, where for the first time I will be talking about the Bosnian pyramids in Romania. I plan to stay a few more days to see several other sites, megalithic sites, of course, to see if there is a Sphinx in the Busegi Mountains. Unfortunately, obviously, I won't be able to visit the tunnels if they exist, but I'd like to feel the energy of the place, and all our countries, especially the Balkan region, have been so important for the world history. And guess what? Genetically speaking, we are so similar, almost the same. Illyrian blood, Prussians, Slavic, and Dacians blood. In Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, Macedonia, Bulgaria, Romania, the same content. We have the same genes. Maybe the language has changed, but genetically we are almost the same. So we will understand each other.